It was an ordinary afternoon in Whispering Pines, the kind of small town where secrets nestled between the laughter of children and the rustling of leaves. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a gentle glow across the quiet neighborhood. On a wooden porch, three figures stood amid the calm. A young boy gripping a bright red toy car, flanked by two uniformed police officers. The boy, Tommy, was transfixed, gazing up at the officers with wide, curious eyes. His light blue shirt ruffled in the soft breeze, and his dark jeans made him look just like every other kid in town. Except for one thing, he seemed to be holding the key to something much bigger than any of them had anticipated. "Tommy," Officer Rennick said, a gentle smile breaking the serious nature of his uniform. "Do you remember what we talked about?" Tommy nodded vigorously, still caught between the fun of imaginary adventures with his toy car and the weight of the officer's presence. The officers had visited him because of a mysterious incident at school, the disappearance of not one, but two prized toys from the classroom, and Tommy was the last one seen playing with them. "We need your help to solve this mystery," Officer Hastings added, his tone light but his eyes serious. "Think of yourself as our special detective." The words sent a thrill of excitement through Tommy, and for a moment, the toys seemed to fade away. This wasn't just any game. He was about to embark on an adventure. "What do I get if I solve it?" he asked, confidence blossoming in his small frame. "Cookies," Officer Rennick replied, grinning. "And the satisfaction of knowing you helped your friends." Tommy beamed, his mind racing with possibilities. Together, they could crack the case. He looked up at the officers, ready to spring into action. "Where do we start?" he asked breathlessly. Just then, a neighborhood kid, a girl with pigtails and a green dress, appeared from around the corner. "Tommy," she called, her eyes wide with excitement. "I heard about your detective work. Can I help?" Before Tommy could respond, a loud rumble echoed across the street, drawing their attention. The officers shared a quick glance, something unspoken passing between them. A truck, painted in bright yellow with the Great Toy Delivery emblazoned on the side, pulled up to the curb, dust swirling around its tires. "What's that?" Tommy whispered, his curiosity piqued. The yellow truck seemed out of place, and not just because of its unusual color. A chill ran down his spine, signaling that this day was about to take a turn. Officer Hastings and Officer Rennick stepped forward, and with hands still on their hips, they surveyed the truck. The driver was a tall, gangly man wearing a cap that shaded his eyes. He climbed down with an almost exaggerated grace, and then something peculiar happened. He looked straight at Tommy, an odd smile creeping across his face. "Hey there, little man," the driver shouted, too cheerfully for such a bizarre situation. "You wouldn't happen to know where all the kids are gathering today, would you?" Before Tommy could respond, Officer Hastings stepped in front of him protectively. "What's your business here?" he asked, his voice firm. "Oh, just delivering some toys. You know how it is," the driver replied, his demeanor instantly shifting. The smile vanished, replaced by an unreadable expression. "Can't have kids without toys, right?" Tommy's heart raced, and he clutched the red car tighter in his small hands. Something about the driver didn't sit right with him. Meanwhile, Officer Rennick studied the truck, his brow furrowed. "Stand back, Tommy," Officer Rennick instructed, stepping closer to the driver. "What's going on here?" The tension rose as the gathering crowd of children and parents began to notice the scene unfolding on the porch. All eyes were on the strange driver and the mysterious yellow truck. Just as the officer began to question the driver further, a loud crash came from inside the truck, followed by a flurry of sound, laughing voices, a shout of surprise, and the unmistakable sound of toys scattering across the pavement. Tommy's eyes grew wider. Was this part of the mystery they were trying to solve? The officers quickly turned towards the noise, and in that single moment, everything hung in the balance. This wasn't just a meeting anymore. It was the beginning of something big. Fear mixed with excitement, and Tommy felt alive, ready to unravel the secrets that lay ahead. "I think we have to go inside," Tommy said, his voice steady, surprising even himself. "I'm going to help solve this mystery." And with that, the adventure escalated, leading them into the unknown, where toys weren't the only thing that might go missing. Each of them held their breath as they prepared to step into a world they had never dared to imagine. "It's time to help solve this mystery," Tommy declared, his determination lighting up his young face. The officers exchanged worried glances, realizing that his bravado belied the uncertainty that loomed around them like shadows on a sunny day. "All right, Tommy," Officer Hastings said, trying to maintain a reassuring tone. "But you need to stay close to us." The two officers positioned themselves on either side of the boy as they cautiously approached the yellow truck, the crowd of children and parents buzzing behind them in a mixture of excitement and concern. As they neared the vehicle, the driver stood frozen, his earlier cheerfulness replaced by an anxious fidgeting. "Just a little accident, nothing to worry about," he croaked, immediately making Tommy's gut twist with suspicion. The way his eyes darted around hinted at something more elusive, something lurking beneath the surface of this seemingly innocent toy delivery. With one swift motion, Officer Rennick pulled open the side panel of the truck, revealing a chaotic array of toys sprawled haphazardly. There were dolls, stuffed animals, puzzle boxes, and, strangely, piles of colorful notes fluttering in the breeze. But the most curious things were the laughing voices resonating from within the truck. "Hey, get us out of here," shouted one voice. It sounded unmistakably like Tommy's friend, Mia. The realization sent an icy thrill through him. "Mia's in there," he exclaimed, pointing with urgency. "Step back," Officer Hastings shouted to the gathering crowd before turning sharply at the driver. "What's going on? Who's inside your truck?" "Just some kids playing a prank," the driver stammered, but his defensiveness only deepened Tommy's suspicion. His heart raced as he peered around the officer's shoulder at the interior of the truck, trying to make sense of the commotion. "Let's find out," Officer Rennick replied. He climbed inside the truck with Officer Hastings right behind him. As they stepped into the shadows of the truck, the cheers of excitement faded, replaced by the confusion of muffled voices. Tommy was about to follow when the driver stepped in front of him, blocking his path. "You should stay outside, kid," he urged, desperation etched into his face. "It's not safe." But Tommy was undeterred. "I'm a detective. I can help." His voice rose, filled with determination as the sounds of struggle grew louder from within the truck. The driver's grip faltered for just a moment, and Tommy seized the chance, slipping past him. He jumped inside just in time to see Officer Hastings unloading Mia and a boy named Leo, both covered in toy remnants and grinning despite the chaos. "What happened?" Tommy shouted, his voice rising above the noise. "We were just playing hide and seek," Mia exclaimed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "But then, the driver wouldn't let us out. He said it was a surprise party." "Surprise?" Tommy echoed incredulously. "You mean you were tricked into hiding in here?" Leo chimed in, his wide eyes sparkling with mischief. "Yeah, we thought there would be snacks or something. But the driver just kept talking about how toys were disappearing and how we had to help find them, too." Before Tommy could respond, Officer Rennick came back into view, his expression serious but relieved. "Okay, everyone is out. Now we need to figure out exactly what's going on here." At that moment, the driver flinched, his eyes darting nervously. All right. You caught me. I was just trying to do something fun for the kids. It seemed like a good idea at the time, I swear." "Trying to do something fun?" Officer Hastings said incredulously, narrowing his eyes at the driver. "Kidnapping kids isn't fun. Explain yourself." "Look, I didn't mean any harm," the driver stammered, backing away slightly. "I just thought it'd be a cool game, to create a secret toy delivery club, you know?" He motioned dramatically with his hands, as if trying to share the excitement he'd imagined. "But then the kids got carried away and wanted to hide from their parents, and I was just trying to protect my surprise." "Protect?" "By locking them in a truck." Officer Rennick's voice rose with disappointment. Before the driver could answer, Tommy felt a shift in the air. A sense of urgency gripped him. "What's happening to the missing toys?" he asked, recalling the very reason they had gathered. "Why are kids' toys disappearing in the first place?" The officers turned their attention back to the driver, forcing him to answer. He hesitated, glancing around nervously, as if contemplating whether to confess the truth. "It's because of the toy thief," he finally admitted, his voice shaking. "He's been stealing toys from kids for weeks. I thought if I could bring some joy back, maybe it would distract from what's really happening." The air thickened with suspense. Tommy's mind raced. A toy thief? That's why we're missing toys at school. Exactly, the driver affirmed, his expression shifting to one of urgency. But nobody knows where he is. That's why I thought maybe I could create a distraction, gather some kids to help find him. Tommy's heart pounded as the weight of their mission became clear. Everything was connected. "We can help," he insisted, determination surging through him. "We can find the toy thief and get the toys back." Mia and Leo nodded, their expressions mirroring Tommy's resolve. The two officers exchanged glances, realizing they had no choice but to trust the children who had already been caught up in the mystery. "All right," Officer Hastings said, his tone more serious than before. "Let's work together. But everyone needs to stay close and follow directions. There's no telling what we might face." As they stepped down from the truck, a renewed sense of purpose filled the air, but so did the eerie sense of the unknown. Behind them, whispers spread through the crowd, growing louder. What would they uncover next in this actual game of hide-and-seek? The adventure had only just begun, and Tommy couldn't shake the feeling that the toy thief was closer than they thought. As Tommy and his friends stepped down from the truck, a surge of excitement washed over them, countered by a flicker of unease. The mystery of the toy thief had now tangled itself into their adventure, and with each heartbeat, they sensed that they were about to dive deeper into a world of suspense. "Okay, listen up," Officer Rennick spoke, gathering everyone's attention. "We need a plan. If the toy thief is on the loose, we can't just rush into anything. We need to be smart about this." Tommy felt a rush of ideas bubbling in his mind. "What if we split into groups? We can cover more ground that way. Plus, we could use disguises to blend in with the other kids. He wouldn't suspect a thing." "Disguises?" Mia echoed, her eyes alight with enthusiasm. "I can wear my brother's old baseball cap and sunglasses." "Leo, you could wear a hoodie." "Great idea." Leo chimed in, already pulling up the collar of his shirt. "And we can use the red toy car as our lookout vehicle." "Let's do it," Tommy said, his heart racing. He felt empowered, a detective ready to crack the case. The officers nodded, caught up in the kids' energy, but their eyes remained watchful. "All right," Officer Hastings said. "I like your enthusiasm, but remember, stay alert. If you spot anything unusual, don't hesitate to tell us. We'll be following you nearby." As the children dashed off to gather their disguises, Officer Rennick remained behind, nails scratching his chin thoughtfully. He watched Tommy run back to his house, the light of determination shimmering in his eyes, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. It was amazing how the child had turned this chaotic afternoon into a quest, even when the stakes were high. Meanwhile, after a few minutes filled with energetic preparation, the kids regrouped on the porch decked out in makeshift disguises, baseball caps tilted low, oversized hoodies pulled tightly around them, and, of course, Tommy's toy car wheeled out as their trusted vehicle. "Ready, detectives?" Tommy declared, a grin stretching across his face. "Ready." Mia and Leo echoed in unison, their excitement palpable. "Let's head to the park first. That's where kids gather the most, and it's where we might hear something," Tommy suggested. The officers nodded, accompanying them as they navigated through the neighborhood. The sun hung high, casting playful shadows that danced amongst the houses. But as they arrived at Whispering Pines Park, the atmosphere shifted. What had been a vibrant playground filled with laughter became eerily quiet. Only a few kids swung on the swings, their laughter tinged with an almost nervous edge. "We should check in with them," Officer Rennick said, stepping forward while the kids fanned out to observe. Mia approached a group of children sitting underneath a large oak tree, whispering among themselves. "Hey, have you guys seen any toys go missing?" she asked, trying to sound casual but feeling a knot of tension as she spoke. One boy, curled up with a crumpled game piece in his hand, looked up nervously. "Yeah, it was so weird. Yesterday, my action figure disappeared right off the slide. And mine too. Another kid piped up, pointing towards the far corner of the park. Somebody said they'd seen a man lurking around. Tommy's heart raced. This was confirmation. "We need to check it out," he exclaimed, looking at the officers. Before anyone could react, they heard a rustling noise from the nearby bushes. A figure emerged, tall and shadowy. Wearing a dark hoodie, the hood pulled over his head so that only his eyes were visible. Everyone froze. "Looks like we might have found our toy thief," Officer Hastings whispered, gripping Tommy's shoulder to keep him still. "Should we follow him?" Tommy whispered back, fighting the urge to leap into action. The tension soared, and the other children behind him exchanged worried glances. A mix of fear and excitement swirled in the air. "Let's wait for the right moment," Officer Rennick cautioned, scanning the area for any signs of danger. "If we rush in now, we could scare him off and lose our chance." The figure turned, glancing over his shoulder. Tommy felt his heart racing, adrenaline coursing through him. The unknown made him want to leap forward, to help. But he trusted the officers. They had experience. They were trained for this. After what felt like an eternity, the shadowy figure took a step back into the bushes, tapping on a faint whistle that echoed through the air like a haunting call. "Now," Officer Hastings commanded, and they moved through the trees, following him silently. As they crept closer, they caught sight of the man rummaging through a pile of brightly colored toys hidden beneath the leafy cover, a treasure trove of the stolen items gathered away from prying eyes. "There they are," Mia gasped, pointing towards a familiar stuffed bear and a glittering toy robot. But then, just as Tommy was preparing to initiate a plan, the figure straightened up, his eyes glinting like a predator's. He turned towards them and began to walk straight in their direction. "Quick! Hide!" Officer Hastings ordered, his voice a harsh whisper. The kids scrambled, ducking behind trees and bushes. Tommy's heart thundered in his chest as he pressed against the rough bark, feeling the panic rise. The stolen toys dangled in the man's hands like unwanted symbols of chaos and power, and suddenly, Tommy felt a wave of realization wash over him. This wasn't just a game anymore. They were faces in a mystery far more tangled than they had anticipated. "This is it," Tommy thought, resolve hardening within him. "Not just for me or the kids, but for everything they've lost." Just then, the toy thief glanced right at them, a smirk cautiously blooming on his lips. In that moment, a chilling idea struck Tommy. They weren't merely chasing a thief. They were pursuing a deeper truth, a quest that could change everything. "Let's work together," he quietly urged his friends, determination singing in his veins. It was time to trap the toy thief and uncover the secrets hidden in the shadows once and for all. Tommy took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle heavily on his shoulders. "We need a distraction," he whispered urgently to Mia and Leo, who crouched close beside him. "If we want to catch him, we have to work together. Mia, you and Leo keep watch here. I'll go around and try to draw his attention." "Are you sure about this?" Leo asked, his eyes wide with concern. "It's our only chance," Tommy replied, steeling himself. "Trust me." Without waiting for their reply, he darted from his hiding spot, moving swiftly along the edge of the park to keep out of sight. Their shadowy pursuer hadn't turned yet, still focused on the prize before him. Tommy's heart raced as he faked a stumble, sending a clatter of sticks from the ground echoing against the peaceful backdrop of the park's vibrant colors. "What was that?" the toy thief murmured, turning quickly, his eyes narrowing. The moment of surprise allowed Tommy to retreat further, deeper into the thicket. "Hey! Over here!" Tommy shouted suddenly, hoping his plan would work. The toy thief turned completely, his face twisted in irritation. "You kids think you're so clever?" the man scoffed when he finally spotted Tommy in the clearing. "You don't know who you're messing with. I know you're stealing toys from kids." Tommy called back defiantly, feeling a surge of courage. He couldn't believe he was speaking up to someone who seemed so threatening, but the memory of all the missing toys and the worried faces of his friends propelled him forward. "We're not going to let you get away with it." A brave little detective, the toy thief sneered, taking a step closer, his passion for power momentarily overshadowing his instinct for caution. You think you and your little friends can stop me? You're playing a dangerous game. At that moment, Mia and Leo sprang into action. Mia flung a water balloon she'd found earlier, catching the toy thief off guard. He stumbled back, blinking in surprise, and Leo scooped up a handful of mud, launching it at the man with all the strength his tiny arms could muster.
Now,
Tommy shouted, rallying the troops as he dashed towards the toy pile. The unexpected onslaught of projectiles took the toy thief by total surprise. He staggered backward, fuming, as mud splattered against his clothes. While the man was disoriented, Officer Hastings and Rennick emerged from the trees, taking advantage of the chaos. Now, officers, Tommy yelled, excitement mixing with fear as they moved in on the stunned figure. In a swift motion, Officer Hastings tackled the toy thief to the ground, pinning him effectively. You're under arrest for theft, he declared, as Officer Rennick cuffed the man's wrists. Tommy, Mia, and Leo stood nearby, hearts racing, as they absorbed the scene unfolding in front of them. It was a jarring moment, realizing that they had brought down the very culprit they had been chasing all along. But there was no time for celebration just yet. What about the toys? Tommy pressed, glancing at the pile that lay scattered beside the disgraced figure. The officers inspected the contents eagerly, a mix of excitement and disbelief lighting up their faces. Incredible. We'll have to return these to their rightful owners. Officer Rennick exclaimed, already starting to pull pieces of missing toys and games from the tangle of items. You won't get away with this. You'll regret it, the toy thief spat, still struggling against the officer's grip. But his power had dissipated like air from a balloon, and his bravado faded with every word. We'll see about that, Officer Hastings replied, standing firm. You can explain all this at the station. A wave of relief washed over Tommy, yet he felt a knot of curiosity. But why? He blurted out, staring into the eyes of the captured thief. Why were you taking all the toys? The man shifted uncomfortably, his face tightening. It's just the toys, they were more valuable than you think. Some kids just don't appreciate them, and I thought I could sell them. Sell them? Mia exclaimed, aghast. But they belong to other kids. You can't just take away what isn't yours. Toys are meant to bring joy. You'll never understand, he snapped back, anger leaking from his voice. Tommy shook his head, feeling a mix of disappointment and hope as he looked at his friends and the children nearby, all of whom had witnessed the events unfold. We understand more than you think, he said softly. Every toy has a story, a child's laughter, their dreams. You can't just take that away. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw some parents rushing into the park, having heard about the commotion. Their expressions were a mix of worry and relief as they took in the scene, the expression of triumph on the children's faces, the recovered toys, and the restrained man. With their parents arriving, the mood shifted from fear to celebration. As they gathered around, Tommy felt the warmth in the crowd and understood the vibrancy of their community that had been threatened but now felt united. We did it, Leo cheered, looking at Tommy with awe. We caught him, Tommy grinned, the thrill of victory igniting every nerve in his body. We did it together. As the parents started to call out names, searching through the toy pile eagerly for their missing treasures, Tommy felt a sense of pride swell in his chest. They had transformed a day of uncertainty into one of courage and teamwork. The toy thief sat back against the tree, still defiant but defeated, and as the officers led him away, Tommy couldn't help but think that perhaps there was a lesson to learn for everyone involved. Today, we saved our toys, he said, joining his friends, but we also learned how important it is to protect the things we love. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden rays upon the vibrant playground, Tommy, Mia, and Leo exchanged joyful glances, an unspoken bond of friendship forged through their adventure. And as laughter erupted once again, echoing through Whispering Pines Park, they knew they would always cherish this day together. The day they became true detectives, standing up for what they believed in and ensuring that every child's laughter would continue to spill into the world.